Listen to me. I want you to hear me, my children, for I am of a different generation from the one that now mostly blesses this nation. But I sometimes feel amongst you like a dinosaur. I'm all big and powerful, yet not extinct. No one can any longer hear my roar. But I'm still the voice of what came before, and I cannot let you forget and not understand how we, as a race of people, got our footing and then came marching through Jim Crow door. Can you smell a stench of death left in the nostrils of our guys who fought Iraqi freedom, Desert Storm, or Vietnam? Do you know the horror of baby?
Welcome to Just Men, a life-changing program that resonates hope as well as encouragement. The program that gives you information and inspiration for the glory of God. I'm your host, Jeff Tate, and thank you for joining Just Men. On today's program, we have a very special guest. He's no stranger to the community of Nashville, but it's his first time him being on our program. Please welcome Khaos. Khaos, welcome to Just Men.
Glad to be here, sir.
Oh, man, it's a tremendous blessing. And let me say on the onset that you add value to our program. And we're so excited on what God is going to share through your heart and through your life story and your ministry. There's so much more that can be captured on this program here, but we want to start with where we are. And with that, just give us a quick bio on who is Khaos.
I was raised in the Nashville community. I went to school here. And I've been involved in several things, nonprofits throughout the community. I've dealt with street people. I've dealt with gangbangers, drug dealers, drug addicts, alcoholics. I've been trying to be a deterrent to teen pregnancy, high school dropouts, and things of that nature. And this is what inspires me.
Wow, is that amazing how you start off in defining your life on how you've helped others. And that's a beautiful way to define it. Tell me a little bit more about what inspired and what is your ministry? What is your ministry in terms of helping others?
Actually, I just have an affinity for the underdog because when I grew up, I kind of felt like I was one of those disenfranchised people that nobody cared about, just a throwaway person. And I've always wanted to get out there and do something. I always figured that something could be done to help those that were less fortunate. One of the mottos of the church that I go to is whosoever. So I felt like whosoever should come to me that I could do something about. I thought it was my duty. I thought it was God's put me here to try to do that.
Wow. You know, in your life, man, and as I told you off the set, you know, what captures my heart in drawing to you is I think about life story, man. Over the years, the things that you've done and the wisdom that you've gained and the walk with God that you've had. Share a little bit about some of those experiences in this walk with God and how it's put you on this playing field that you became an instrument of God.
Well, actually, I started out pretty much running from God. I wasn't so much spiritual as I'm trying to be now. I don't know, I just felt like that I was just one of those people that was on the outside. I felt like nobody loved me, nobody cared, and I was out there doing all kinds of things to try to make myself be somebody. But actually, God has a way of humbling people. It happened for me in the real set during a car accident some years ago in which I broke my neck. I was paralyzed for a period of time. I was totally disabled. And through that time, my faith began to grow. The ministry of the people around me came to me and telling me about God, and I began to see that. I began to feel that. The fact is that I now today can walk, I can dress myself, I can feed myself, I live alone, and I can take care of myself. And I just see the glory of God in that.
What comes and resonate in your heart now when you talk about poetry and what poetry in particular in mind?
Actually, I think poetry is a gift from God to me. It was my way of venting, it was my way of being heard, because like I said, I didn't feel I had a voice. And some of the things that I thought about privately, I began to write about. When I was in Vietnam, I came home and I was just kind of confused about that whole experience. Here I was, way over there fighting for a country that didn't even give me the honor of being called a man. You know, they looked at me less than a human being. And civil rights was a big thing during that time, and here I was away fighting for somebody else's civil rights. And that became kind of like a salvation tool for me. in that I could express myself, and then once I got it out on paper, I found some relief. The surprise came to me is that years later, when I started to share some of the stuff that I wrote down, how much other people related to what I was saying. And so it became a tool for me to kind of reach out to some of the people who thought maybe that they were downtrodden and just left out there to rot. You know, when they started reading some of my stuff, they said, well, brother, I didn't know nobody else felt like that, which encouraged me to write even more. So I went from writing those disheartening stories, those depressing stories, to, I mean, today I can even write about love, you know. I'd like to do this one called The Old Folk. Listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to hear me, my children, for I am of a different generation from the one that now mostly blesses this nation. But I sometimes feel amongst you like a dinosaur. I mean, I'm all big and powerful, yet not extinct. No one can any longer hear my roar. But I'm still the voice of what came before, and I cannot let you forget and not understand how we, as a race of people, got our footing in, then came marching through Jim Crow door. I mean, can you smell a stench of death left in the nostrils of our guys who fought Iraqi freedom, Desert Storm, or Vietnam? Do you know the horror of babies being bombed in church in Birmingham? Drink from the bitter cup of Georgia justice. Tell me, is that peach really sweet? Have you ever felt the dog bites, or billy clubs, or fire hose pressure knock you off your feet in an Alabama street? Have you forgotten black bodies swinging in the Mississippi sun? And I know not many here can remember signs saying, white only, or run, black man, run. But this is how far in my lifetime I've come. Now today I see my brothers with their hats on backwards and upside down, and pants hanging off the... Don't be a hater, they tell me. Okay, I'll let that pass. But what about selling poison and slow death to one another on city streets? What about disrespecting our elders and teaching our women to be freaks and our children cyber geeks? 'Tis a new day, they tell me. We no longer do things in your old-fashioned Uncle Tom way. Again, I say, have we, my people, lost our man? The reply I get in mass is, sit down, old fool. You just stuck on stupid and lost in time.
Talk to me about some of the life stories that you've seen change as a result of just you being a vessel.
Well, first started out dealing with people in the street. You know, I used to hear people talk about people, oh, she's just a crackhead, oh, he's just a junkie, oh, he's old drunk and all that. And some of these people, when I met them and sit down and talk to them, they had fantastic life stories, and for one reason or another, they dropped off the map. And when I sit down and talk to them and started to try to encourage them that all was not lost, over the years, I've seen people come back because someone showed them, someone cared. Almost daily, I have people call me or send me a message on Facebook, Khaos, we're glad you never gave up on us. I'm glad God never gave up on me, because I was one of those people. You know, I've been through, I run the gullet. You know, I've been involved in the criminal justice system. I've been a drunk. I've been out there involved in the drug scene in Nashville. So therefore, when I go talk to some of these people, especially some of these young guys who are standing on the corner dealing, or they talking about gang banging and drive-by shooting and home invasion, they can listen to me because they know me. They know that I've been there. They see the change that God has done to me. And really and truly, that some of them want this. Some of them want to know, how did you go about getting this? Where does this peace of mind come from? And when I start telling them about Jesus, it's just like a glow. It's just like it just comes from within. And they see it, and you know, it's effective. You should mention that story about John, because one of my favorite stories out of the Bible is about the woman who just reached out in the crowd and said, if I could just touch the hem of his gown.
Yeah.
And when Christ asked, who done that? Who touched me? And the woman, feeling like she'd done something wrong, fessed up. And Christ said, thy faith has healed thee. So my message to people around them is that your faith can heal you. You know, if you believe, as you believe, so shall you receive. Until I started looking to God to get healed, to have some of the pain removed, to have some of the things go right that I thought was going wrong, Nothing that I did was going right. Once I accepted God, once I accepted the power of God's love for me, I started telling other people when I see them, regardless of what they're doing, what their afflictions are, what their downfall is, I see the God in you. And I do. I mean, I really do. When people talk about somebody, oh man, look at that guy over there ragged. Look at that guy over there with no teeth. Look at that guy that's ugly. I see the God in that person. And I have to tell them about it. I have to tell them that you are a child of God, no matter what nobody tells you. And let that be their salvation. Let that faith grow within them. I think it just comes from within. As God's love grows in you, you also learn patience. You also learn to accept rejection. And you know that a lot of times, what Christ himself on the cross said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He also said, whosoever shall come to me, let them. When they tried to run the children away from him, Christ said, no, suffer the little children unto me. See, because he knew that the little children were innocent. Although they may have been led astray, although they may have had false conceptions about what was, he knew that they could be nurtured. And I know when I see people, having been there myself, what they're really looking for. You know, see, so many of us lean to our own understanding. We want to be independent, especially those of us that's been disenfranchised. We think we have a better way. All right, nobody cares with that, so I'll just go do this. I'll be as bad as I can be. I'll make a lot of money. That'll make people respect and love me. I'll dress fine. You know, and then they try to have that power to wail over the people, to try to buy, to try to coerce people into accepting them. But when they look at it all, when they go through it all, they still got to come back to themselves. So it's just a matter of making people aware of what's really there. You know, all that glitters is not gold. I thought that if I went out there and made a lot of money, I didn't have any regards for how I made about this. This is called When I Say I Love You. When I say I love you, it's not just something I'm saying. And I'm not saying it to women because they're female and I'm a man. I'm not saying it to try to play games with their head. I'm not even saying I love you to try to take some woman to wed. When I say I love you from my heart and soul because I believe we're all worthy of love and need to be told. But you see, some people play with each other like it's some kind of prize pit. They'll tell you anything just to see what they can get. But when I say I love you, my intentions end up being suspect. Have we, my people, done each other so wrong that we can't understand a true emotion when it's shown? Well, I'll just keep saying I love you. That's all I can do, I guess. I'll just keep saying I love you, and I'll let God do the rest.